Who here has ever regretted not doing something before? Perfect. I'm actually working on this time machine where you can go back in time and... No. No, I have so many regrets, and every single one of them is because I didn't do something when I know I should have. You see, I used to suffer from social anxiety. I remember the days when I would get a panic attack if someone would try to simply talk to me. My mind would freeze up and my heart would beat so fast that I thought I was about to have a heart attack. Kind of like how I feel right now. I overcame this debilitating anxiety through an art that I like to call pickup. Basically, I forced myself outside my comfort zone and learned how to socialize with people. Today, I'd like to share with you all 3 tips that I've learned from this journey of self-improvement that has helped me blossom into the social butterfly I am today. This first tip has to do with a little friend that I like to call fear. I learned recently that the #1 fear for Americans is public speaking. #2 is death. It's pretty funny. Jerry Seinfeld actually once said that we'd much rather be the person in the casket at a funeral than the one giving the eulogy. You see, we all have this innate fear of being judged or being rejected or trying so hard only to fail in the end. And for me, this fear was so unbearable that I would remove myself from the situation completely. I remember running home from school every day to play hours upon hours of mind-numbing video games in my basement. It was pathetic. It was not healthy behavior. It wasn't until freshman year of college when I finally discovered pickup, and I learned about this concept called exposure therapy, in which people would expose themselves to things that made them uncomfortable time and time again until they were comfortable with the uncomfortable. Whenever my anxiety would act up in public, I would make it my mission to start a random conversation with a person immediately. Instead of stifling in fear like I always did, I learned to use this fear as a trigger to take action. So the second tip has to do with a statistic that I'm sure you've all heard before. The divorce rate in the United States is above 50%. My theory as to why this is because people get comfortable. Let me explain. After doing this for a while, after going for what I wanted in spite of fear, I ran into another problem. The first cool girl I met, her name was Katie. I ended up staying together with her for months. Looking back on it, I realized that she wasn't right for me from the start, but I settled. I settled for her. I settled because I accomplished my goal of getting a girlfriend, and I thought my journey was over. In reality, it was far from over. This was just the learning process for my next big lesson. Never settle. So this final tip has to do with a concept that's a little complicated and is the biggest challenge I'm currently facing today. It's called the great perhaps. You see, after going out, after seeing success, I started to develop this certain level of expectation. Whenever I went out, I had this mindset, this outcome-oriented mindset in which I'd feel so discouraged when things did not go my way. It took me a while to understand that these expectations were toxic to my growth. I've since learned to do things simply for the sake of doing it, that it is better to focus on the process, not the result. I understand that there may only be a 1% chance of something amazing happening, but if I keep this faith in the great perhaps, if I keep trying and keep spreading positivity, regardless of any outcome, eventually something great will happen. So here's my challenge for all of you. Sorry, who here has regretted not doing something before? Right, everybody. I want you to talk to a random person tonight after this event. You can talk about anything. You can say, wow, the weather outside is really shitty. Or, did you hear that Chris Shaw kid's speech? That was the best talk ever. There's this quote that goes, a year from now, you'll wish you had started today. If you start today, if you take action in spite of fear, if you stop settling for good enough, if you live for the great perhaps, I promise you, a year from now, your only regret will be that you did not start sooner. Thank you. That's what I was